His four-year term formally began on Tuesday, but Iran's new President Ebrahim Raisi will take the oath of office before Parliament later today. The ultra-conservative has vowed to take steps to end crushing U.S. sanctions. He takes over from Hassan Rouhani, who negotiated the 2015 nuclear agreement with 6 world powers. The U.S. withdrew from that deal under Donald Trump, and Raisi will now take over stalled international talks. Well, let's speak now to author and sociologist Farhad Khosrowhavar. Thanks for being with us here on France 24. Raisi says he wants to free Iran from those U.S. sanctions, which have further damaged the already struggling economy. Is that a feasible goal, in your opinion?
The whole problem is that, nobody knows how the new government will react to what might be called the question of a nuclear deal. Rouhani was, at the end, able to find a compromise, but the whole system and the supreme leader opposed it. So there was no conclusive, deal. Depending on whether Raisi would like to find a solution or not. The problem is that if the Raisi government holds a kind of uncompromising attitude, it will be impossible. They want to know, for instance, that 500 people who are excluded by the U.S. from any relationship with the West should be rehabilitated, and namely the Pastaran army, the Revolutionary Guards. So there are major problems facing the new government. Whether or not they want to solve it, or they would like to hold a kind of uncompromising attitude. And there are many other problems, facing Iran. First of all, the relationship with Israel. They are, almost at a kind of declared war. Up to now, it was undeclared, and now Israel, after the attack of a ship which was owned by an Israeli, there is a problem of attack, by Israel and the other Western governments against Iran. So that's a major problem, side effect of the nuclear deal. And then there are major problems also in Afghanistan. Afghanistan is going most probably to become a kind of Taliban regime in the months ahead. And of course, they have rather normal relationships with Iran, but once they hold power in Afghanistan, they might, turn against Iran, because Iran is a Shiite theocracy, and for the Taliban, Shiites are not genuine Muslims. So that's another problem. And of course, the coronavirus problem in Iran. Iran is one of the countries most affected by coronavirus. And the way, the incompetent way, the inept way, the problem was dealt with by the government is making people angry. And water problems and electricity problems. So there are many, many problems facing Iran, and without a deal with the United States and the Western powers, these problems will not be solved, neither in short term nor in long term. So that everything depends, from my viewpoint, on whether or not this government, Raisi government, is able to hold talks and find a solution to the demands, by hardliners in the West.